John Luskier of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another head by Swhacker. And man, I've tested a lot of different Swhacker heads over the years. If you're curious which ones I've tested, if you're curious about any head that I've tested or whether I've tested it or not, just go to YouTube in the search bar and type in Lusk, L-U-S-K, my last name, and then the name of that broadhead. Like if you type in Lusk and Swhacker, all the different Swhacker heads that I've tested will come up and you can check them out. But today I'm going to be testing their hybrid, okay? I've been testing a few hybrids lately and they've been intriguing to me, so I thought I'd add this to the list. And for this test, I'm going to be using the protocol for 2025. And if you have any questions about that, please check out the video I posted earlier this year called 2025 Broadhead Test Process, and it'll walk you through that and help you understand why I do what I do and how I do it and so forth. And for all the testing, I'm going to be using my Elite Eon, new carbon Eon bow that I'm just loving, taking it on a hunt in a few days, really eager to hunt with it. And then I'm also going to be using, for the flight testing, my Killer Instinct new LogiX bow, okay, their new LogiX 435 bow, crossbow that I'm really loving. And for all the arrows and bolts, I'm using Bishop archery stuff because it's really top tier. Okay, let's zoom on in here, check out this Swhacker Hybrid, and then put it to the test. Here's a good look at this Swhacker Hybrid. Pretty cool looking broadhead right here. Let's start with the materials. It's got an aluminum ferrule like most of the Swhackers do. Then it's got a high carbon chisel tip just for extra durability. Real small tip to aid in penetration, but extra durability there. And then you can see that it has this fixed blade that's kind of always there. So even upon impact, you're going to get a cut of at least 1 inch. Okay, it's 1 inch cut this way, at least that 1 inch of cut. But then also with these blades, you're going to get 1 inch of cut as well. So you're guaranteed to get 2 inches of cut. And the way Swhackers work, if you're not familiar, these blades impact the medium and then are forced, they force back and they force this O-ring open. So when that O-ring comes off, these blades can swing back. They're over the top deploying like that. And then you get the full cutting diameter, which is 1.75 inches. So when it's fully open, you get 1 3/4 inches this way and 1 inch this way. So 2 3/4 inches of cut. That's a lot of cut right there. Now the blades, in terms of their thickness, by my measurements, these main blades, the mechanical ones, are 0.030 inches thick. And then these fixed blades are 0.040 inches thick. And the way it's designed is, they call these blades the virgin blades. Most of the impact is felt by these two blades, and they absorb a lot of the impact of the hide and the initial cut of the tissue. And then these blades are deployed, and they call them virgin blades because they haven't impacted any of the hide or anything. So they're kind of like you tap and your buddy comes in to fight for you. Now you have a brand new blade cutting tissue throughout the rest of the animal. That's the design behind it. So this is a 100 grain model. It came out, by my measurements, as 104 grains. So, in the acceptable category. Now, I will note the length here. The length is 1.86 inches. And the blades are pretty far back. So in some of my testing, sometimes I dock them because they get this extra inch of cut. There really is not any of the blades or anything. It's kind of like a nail, just sicking through. So it's kind of a stroke against it. But at the same time, it will help poke a hole deeper into an animal like that. For resharpening, I would use the Stay Sharp guide called The Answer. Their new one that can be used with so many different broadheads. It would work really well with a complicated one like this. One thing I also want to note is, man, you do not want to take, or if you take this off of the arrow, you want to make sure you use this little clip to screw on the end of it, because if not, These blades fall out really easily, and let me tell you, they are a royal pain to get back in place, to get these two overlapping just right and the pin in there just right, and then these two on there before you screw them onto the shaft. They're kind of a pain, so make sure you use this tool they give you in your storage or you're going to be really disappointed, okay? So really eager to put this Swhacker to the test and see how it performs. The Swhacker 257 got the solid 9 ring. It took 174 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 10 on a 10-point scale plus a bonus for being under the threshold of 200. It penetrated 7 3/4 inches, but due to that long, narrow nose, it gets docked 1 inch, so it's officially 6 3/4 inches. It only took an additional 9 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 9.82 on a 10-point scale. Plus, it's going to get a bonus for both the sharpness and edge retention being under the threshold of 200. It penetrated through 52 layers, but again, given that long, narrow tip, it gets docked a bit, so it gets officially counted as 47 layers. It's in perfect shape after the 3 shots through the MDF. And it's still in very good shape after the 2 shots through the steel plate. It just got a little bit of edge chatter on the main blades there. And you can see the holes are just the shape of the blades in the closed position, but they punched holes nonetheless. Here it is after all the durability testing, and I gotta say, I was impressed with the durability through the steel plate. I didn't think it was going to hold up to that, but it did, and then I pretty much knew it was not going to hold up to the cinder block, and it didn't. I mean, it's just a long ferrule and pretty in aluminum and pretty vented, so a really hard impact. It just couldn't handle. I mean, these are the pieces that I could find pretty much fell apart. But again, that only accounts for 3% of the overall score, and it's important to put that in its proper perspective. I think it's important to have that data point to see how a broadhead does, how its structural integrity is, and how it holds up in a zero penetration test. But when all's said and done, that's a pretty minor test. It's not a pass-fail broadhead test, pretty minor in the overall scoring, and I think appropriately so. But you definitely can see it did well in the steel plate and cinder block. But you can see it did well in the MDF and the steel plate, but it met its match with the cinder block. So what'd you think? You know, honestly, this head performed about as I expected, okay? You know, sometimes I get surprised and sometimes not so much. It wasn't bad, you know, there's certainly some strengths to it, and I can see how this could get the job done in many instances, and perhaps you've used it really effectively. I would think on turkey it would especially be a really effective broadhead. I don't know if it's going to make it into my quiver, just because I think there's probably some other hybrids that would you know, do a bit better than this, but it's still intriguing nonetheless. But hey, you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that matter to you the most with your hunting needs and your setup, and see if it might be a good fit for you. And stay tuned for the overall cumulative score, as well as the corresponding Lusk grade. And stay tuned for a list of all the different discount codes that I can offer you just to help you save some money. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next time.